Hello, everybody. My name is Ray. Welcome to the Evangelical Dark Web. Today, we're going to be discussing Joe Biden resigning from running for president of the United States for a second term. He will still, if he lives that long, complete his first term as president of the United States, and he has endorsed Kamala Harris to be the next nominee for the Democrat Party. And this is pretty interesting. Hillary Clinton also seems to have come out and endorsed Kamala Harris. It's pretty funny. If you ask me, this is a bold strategy. I boldly predicted that the Democrats would still run Biden because this was the best of their horrible options, but apparently they have other ideas. They want to create a Walter Mondale situation in which someone's going to be emerge as the convention at the convention as their nominee for the party, who's also a vice president of a failed administration. So, bold strategy, Democrats, for trying to repeat Walter Mondale and expect different results. But maybe Kamala Harris won't run on raising taxes like Walter Mondale did. But we'll see. We'll see what sort of gaffes she will make. If she becomes the nominee, I do think that is still a big if because that is such a disaster that they want to just have a DEI campaign for president. I think that's going to turn off so many liberal whites who normally vote Democrat. I think that's going to turn them off. So, with that said, let's talk about the Big Eva reaction. But first, I want you to know Evangelical Dark Web is a Christian news gathering and commentary ministry. You can support our work over at evangelicaldarkweb.org/join. This is our Patreon-like system that gives you bonus access to bonus content. We also have a free newsletter. Check that out. Subscribe to it. All that's linked in the description below. But the least you can do is like this video, subscribe to the channel, to the podcast if you are new. So Big Eva is lauding Biden as a heroic figure for dropping out. They think that this is brave, that this is heroic, that he is doing the right thing, that this is a selfless action for the good of the country. And I'm here to tell you that no, it's not Joe Biden doing the right thing. This is actually rather moot. The Democrats are forcing Biden out. Like, there's four brokers, they say, in the Democrat Party: Barack Obama, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and I'm totally just gaffing on the fourth one. But these power brokers are saying that they're giving him the George Costanza tap, and he's got to go. It is essentially what they're saying. He's too embarrassing for the party. He's going to bring them down ballot. And that they can't abide that. Now, I tend to think that the Joe Biden and his wife Jill Biden weren't going to go. It was going to be another over my dead body scenario because that is what politicians do. John McCain could not perform his job. He died rather than, and he was unwilling to give up his Senate seat because he was that selfish as a person. And then we also have, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, a lot of health issues, didn't want to resign. And then Dianne Feinstein, very old, and she died in office as well. So this tends to happen where people refuse to let go of the reins of power and then they die in office. Joe Biden's still doing the same thing. The problem is it is viewed pretty much by the entire nation as a foregone conclusion that he is going to lose in December or November, that he's going to lose to Donald Trump. So it seems like a foregone conclusion, and the Democrats are trying to change it up, change the narrative of the race. Now, I think this is a bad move on their part because Donald Trump's going to hang that mantle on his wall that the debate broke Biden and exposed Biden, and that Trump did that. So you're giving Trump a major W here, but nonetheless, let's get to the Big Eva reaction. I first want to start out with Russell Moore, former head of the Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission. I believe he also was on a Gospel Coalition Council at one point in time, and he is now the editor-in-chief of Christianity Today, or Compromise Today, as we like to call it here on Evangelical Dark Web. He said of Joe Biden's decision, "The right call for our country. Thank you, Mr. President." And again, this isn't really a brave decision. I don't even think it's the right decision because it's fairly moot, because I don't think Joe Biden's going to be president in February of 2025, and he's not quitting now. So there's really, to me, few consequences of note with this decision by Joe Biden. It'll just lead to a funnier November election, in my opinion. It'll just be more hilarious. And it's not exactly good for the Democrat Party to run Kamala Harris. That's just going to be DEI in your face. And the normies are pretty tired of diversity hires. So maybe I'll do an article on that after I'm done with these articles that I'm going to write for this event and others. Russell Moore was, I already explained who he was. And Samuel Perry is one of the biggest anti-Christian nationalists in the world of academia. And he says, whether you agree with this move strategically or not, I believe this took humility and bravery. And whatever happens, I think it will be remembered that way. And I don't think it's going to be remembered that way at all. I think it's going to be remembered as Joe Biden getting the ball taken from him by the Democrat managers. This is a very anti-democratic move because the Democrats already had their primary. They had their chance to have this debate. Joe Biden's been a vegetable for over 4 years. He was a vegetable in 2020. So how much more are they unwilling to tolerate? Where would the Democrats yet be struck on the Joe Biden issue? But apparently we found our limit. They have been struck. And it's funny to see that. So it's not going to be remembered that way. It's not going to be remembered as Joe Biden taking one for the team and doing it out of bravery. It's going to be more remembered as a humiliating disgrace to Joe Biden's legacy, that he was too incompetent to continue on, and thus gave the country presumably 4 more years of Donald Trump. And again, I'm not making a judgment on the Trump thing right now. I'm just saying that I don't think the Democrats are going to look favorably on that. And the Republicans certainly won't look favorably on Biden's decision here. They're just going to laugh at it. He's a joke. So Samuel Perry, anti-Christian nationalist professor. He's also an ardent defender of affirmative action. We've covered that in the past on Evangelical Dark Web. And he celebrated Joe Biden's bravery. And he also is gearing up to accuse evangelicals of being racist for opposing Kamala Harris. He had some tweets about that that I got linked in the article. And then there's Brent Leatherwood of the Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission of the Southern Baptist Convention. He largely speaks for the Southern Baptist Convention. And he's the successor of Russell Moore, who's the successor of Richard Land, who I wrote an article about Richard Land over the weekend. Richard Land was evil too. Russell Moore was evil. Brent Leatherwood is evil. All these people who have led the Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission have been evil. And you hate to see that. But if you want to know why the Southern Baptist Convention is the way that it is, the ERLC is the most obvious place where compromise has long been tolerated. So he had a column ready to go for the anticipation of Biden's dropout. Like, this dude, not very Sabbatarian to be cranking out an article on a Sunday afternoon. And that's just nonetheless who these people are. And I know it was written on Sunday afternoon because it goes into detail on the Kamala Harris thing. So it was definitely written on Sunday afternoon. But his quotes in the Baptist press are actually far more telling. So he had some quotes in the Baptist press. He said, not only is this a historic decision, but it is the right decision for our nation. The role of the president takes a heavy toll, and based on what has been apparent for some time, it was unrealistic to ask President Biden to endure another 4 years of the incredible burdens placed on the one who occupies this office. Now, again, how much burden has been placed on Joe Biden, I don't really know. It is a coincidence that I saw this as a coincidence. Joe Biden resigned on July 21st. Now, this isn't a Bible verse. It is National Ice Cream Day that Joe Biden would resign on. That is a providential coincidence, but that's also pretty emblematic of his presidency. The dude's an ice cream cone, which might be worse than a vegetable. No, it's not worse than a vegetable. I like ice cream. I love ice cream. Ice cream's an American dessert dating back to James Madison. So, he says, and he continues, we should all express our appreciation that President Biden has put the needs of the nation above his personal ambition. Now, that is just frankly not true. I personally believe that Joe Biden took a payout. He's got some sort of deal made. That he does not want to resign for the good of his heart, out of the kindness of his heart. Jill Biden ain't going to abide. She's not going to abide that. Joe Biden's pretty vicious. I believe she started out as Joe Biden's babysitter, and now, not for Joe Biden, but for Joe Biden's kids, and now, First Lady. So anyway, she didn't rise to the ranks just to go down like that, but so my opinion, there's probably some sort of deal that was cut. And also, Joe Biden is believed to lose in November, and that's largely driving this deal. This isn't him, being selfish for the nation, unless you believe that, you really want the Democrats to win in November, which Leatherwood probably does. He continues in the quote by saying, despite what some partisans will say, to walk away from power is a selfless act, the kind that has become all too rare in our culture. It's not Joe Biden walking away from power. Joe Biden is going to leave office in 2025 if he is not reelected. If he loses reelection, he is not walking away from power. Power is being ripped from him. There is a huge difference. This is the Democrat Party taking the ball away from the pitcher. That is not him walking away from the mound. That is quite the opposite. The ball is getting taken from him. And if Brent Leatherwood really believes that walking away from power is a selfless act, you first, bro. Please walk away from the Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission. You have done a horrendous job. You are arguably worse than Russell Moore and Richard Land, perhaps going to be combined in how bad you are at this job. These people don't walk away from power. It gets ripped from them by death or other political means. So, those are my thoughts on the matter. Big Eva is doing what Big Eva does, and they are celebrating what really is a completely political move. It is not a selfless act by Joe Biden. Who knows whether even Joe Biden knows that he dropped out of the race? I mean, I imagine he's going to be pretty angry when he finds out. But anyway, those are my thoughts on the issue for now. My name is Ray. This is the Evangelical Dark Web. If you like this kind of content, subscribe if you're new. Stay based. Christ is King. And we will catch you on the next one.